Hi guys, welcome to Table Talk. I'm Kessyl.
I'm Carol.
So congrats Canadians, you can now shop online for some pot, like shopping online for a Herschel backpack and have it delivered to your doorstep, like how we do it here in the US with pizzas on Friday nights while we be chilling with Netflix.
So in case you don't know, just yesterday Canada has legalized marijuana sales nationwide. So that means we're the first G8 country to do it anywhere in our country, ahead of the US, Japan, France, Germany, Italy, and UK.
So what does this mean for the millennials, which is us? But first, let us tell them a little of the background story. The Canadian government passed Bill C-45, otherwise known as the Cannabis Act, with Justin Trudeau saying it would make marijuana more difficult for teenagers to access and erode black market profits, also having the hopes of reducing related crime and underage usage. So we must know that laws are different for both medical or recreational use. They have different laws for that. Like on Wednesday, it's like, oh, Canada legalized weed. So they're like, oh, we're super happy. But know that there are like rules and regulation across like Canada. It's different. So we can see there are some articles online. It talks like how Canada's 10 provinces and 3 territories, like in some places you can buy it online, in some places you can only buy it in store, and in some places you can buy it as long as you're 18 years old, but in some places you can buy it only if you are 21.
Yeah, so I think actually most of the places it's 19 years old, except I think Quebec and Alberta. They're the 2 provinces in Canada that you have to be 18. Well, you just have to be 18 to buy it. But I think the Quebec newly elected politician, he was very strongly in about increasing the age of buying marijuana to 21. But I think as for now, most of the provinces are 18 to 19, which is our legal drinking age, which is a lot younger than people in the US. So yeah, I mean, marijuana, especially me coming from BC, which is one of the provinces in Canada, it has always been legal. We never really have any problem other than buying and selling. So this becoming legal for me, honestly, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying that I done anything illegal before, but yeah. Now if you want to, and if you're over 19, you can just go to a dispensary and then you can get your marijuana legally.
Right. So also like Hannah Hetzer, a senior international policy manager at the Pro-Legalization Drug Policy Alliance, said that Canada's move to legalize marijuana is really a historic rebuild to a disastrous global war on drugs that has ruined millions of lives. She said, quote, many countries are searching for innovative approaches to drug policy that emphasize health and rights rather than repression. So by taking this bold step, Canada will likely become an inspiration for many other countries, like including the G7 countries like Japan and even United States. But with that said, Canada has also positioned itself to be the largest global marketplace for cannabis and cannabis-related products. And major retailers such as Walmart and several beverage companies are actually seeking ways to integrate into their new product line that offers this kind of cannabis-related products. But first, we like to emphasize on, like now, yay, Canada, but what about the US? Like, what is it in the US? I feel it's like on the gray line, or we don't really talk about it. But in the US, it is still illegal on the federal level. But recreational marijuana is legal in 9 states, as we can see in this picture, the one in green, and for states like Washington State, Maine, and California. And while medical marijuana, which you can see in blue, it's legal in 30 states. And actually, a Gallup poll from 2017 showed that 60% Americans support legalization. So what does this mean for us, the millennials? I categorize us into, there's 2 types of millennials, okay? Type A, the one that smoke, and type B, the one that doesn't smoke. So Carol, which type are you? This is, whoa, I just put on the spot. Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure as most things in life, there are a lot of gray areas. So I wouldn't categorize myself with like just one.
Cool. But
I'm trying to be a politician here.
Right. But okay, you are a Canadian, right?
Yeah.
So as a Canadian, you were talking about it just now. Like you felt this doesn't change anything because you're from BC and it has been legal.
Yeah.
But now it's like it's nationwide. How do you see it as a Canadian?
I think like before, my friends who likes to buy marijuana, not me, they would always you have to know someone to get them the good stuff, right? But now it being legalized, that means I think black market is going to be eliminated. They can just go to a store that they trust and then get the type of marijuana that they like and enjoy it responsibly instead of getting it from just people that can be really questionable and shady. So I think that in that sense, I think it's
good in that sense.
Yeah, I think it's good in that sense.
And that's the whole point of like what the Prime Minister said, right? So that they can, I don't know, oversee it and make sure that keeping out of the teens. Yeah,
because also marijuana being so profitable, it's caused a lot of, everything, especially, drug-related stuff, is really profitable than, you know, illegal criminal-related activity is going to be involved. So marijuana trafficking has been a big deal in BC. There are a lot of... I remember about 7-8 years ago, there were a lot of rivalry between different gangs because they were trying to compete for territories for marijuana. And these marijuana, they're either homegrown, meaning that they would just have to buy houses and then make these houses into green rooms and grow marijuana indoor, or they would have some sort of trafficking in Mexico. So it becomes this really complex and it becomes a big problem for the government to control because it's illegal and there's just a really high margin of profit. So, but in a way, marijuana, it's not really that deadly compared to, say, cocaine or heroin, right?
Right.
It's something that can be used, like you mentioned, medically. So I think it makes sense for the government to turn this into something that's legalized so they can oversee the whole process and control it. So that's my 2 cents.
Right. Because when I first came to the US, like right now, as we said, it's only legal medically in 30 states and for recreational use in 9. Is that 9 or 6? Well, I just talked about it and now I forgot. Let's see.
Let me see. Our audience can just, I think you said 9.
Yeah, 9 states.
Yeah.
It's legal in 9 states.
Yeah.
So it was like, we all go to college, hey, let's be real. Your friends around you just smoke like nobody's business. Like, especially my American friends. Maybe my Asian friends, yes, they do it too, but not as much as my American friends. Or maybe they hang out with Americans more and then they get influenced. Because I feel it's like recreational for fun. It's a leisure. It's like just like watching the TV, I guess, or like, I don't know, smoking weed is like taking chips in your hand and just eat it. But in Malaysia, where I come from, it's like, oh my goodness, you smoke weed, you're so bad, you're going to jail, you know?
Yeah.
But so I think if you see it from the Asia perspective, if you're a millennial there, which is what's our topic about, it's like, wow, like super fun. If you're type A, you smoke weed. But for type B, like you don't smoke, who cares?
Yeah.
But I think it's really a big thing for countries who are not, right, who's not legal yet.
So in Taiwan, I remember, because there are a lot of, I guess, people like me study overseas and eventually return to Taiwan to work. And for them, marijuana becomes something that's kind of like cookies, right? You just, when you feel like it, you go to the store and grab some and eat it at home. Well, not so much the buying part in Taiwan, because there's no way you can get marijuana legally in Taiwan.
Wow.
But like sometimes they would, they don't think it's a big deal. So they would smuggle, literally they would put some in their suitcase and bring it to Taiwan, and that would be like smuggling. That's totally illegal. And they would smoke as if it's totally legal.
Like a cigarette or something.
Yeah. Or like in gathering, they'll bring it out and they'll smoke. And they just don't, they're so ingrained in their brain that it's not really that big of a deal. But in Taiwan, it's actually a big deal. You can go to jail for years for that.
Yeah.
And the smuggling part, it can be like super heavy punishment. It can even be death sentence, depending on how much you bring in. Yeah. So yeah, like just like Malaysia, in Asia, in Taiwan, I believe most of the country, they're still not really comfortable with
yeah, because like Canada is the second country after Uruguay, I still have a hard time pronouncing it, to be like legal and you won't go to jail. But it also like there's rules and regulations that you have to check with like how many grams, and again you can't smoke and drive, and it's like drunk driving is still very illegal. But you know, when I was in Malaysia, it's like I actually had like I think I was dating this guy, and then he came here, and then he was like so into weed because his friends taught it to him, and then he kept smoking. And for me, before I came, I was like, oh, this is such a big deal. I can't deal with this. Like you're not sober and la la la. But now I'm here. It's like, oh, you smoke weed? Okay, cool. But I feel it still has an impact, because a lot of my friends who smoke weed, they argue that it helps them maybe to focus, or like if you have a big paper, oh, I need to smoke so I can think above and beyond and think the things that I don't think when I'm sober, to help me to write papers. And I think it worked in some way. But I have a friend who's like a heavy weed taker. Is that what you call a person? And then he actually stopped for like 3 months, and then we just met up like a couple of weeks ago, and he told me that, hey, actually I got more clarity. It's so funny, when he was smoking, he's just like persuading me and convincing me like how this is so good, like it's helping me in my studies, it's helping me to sleep, which people take it for medical purpose to help them with their pain and, you know, like loss of appetite. But once he got out of it, he said that his body is so much
lighter.
I don't know, stronger. He goes to the gym more, and he's more awake, he's more sober, and he has a clarity of the mind. So I
think I understand the working part. I mean, when you take weed, supposedly you relax. So I'm not really sure about like working more efficiently, but I think for people in the creative industry, it helps, because sometimes you just help them to be more, I guess, relaxed physically, so their mind would go more active, and that's how they have a lot of inspiration for their creative work. So I think for a lot of my friends who's in the creative industry, they do tend to like to smoke weed more. And I can also, no one knows my previous boss, but like he's a pretty heavy, pothead. Like,
wow, that's what you call a pothead. It's a legal term. Okay.
No, pothead is just someone who smokes a lot, right? And like he's professional, but every day he wakes up, just like people brushing teeth, like the first thing he does would be smoke some. Right. And that would make him more productive and more easy to be around with. Wow. Like if you catch him a day like he's cranky, it's probably because he didn't get his fix in the morning. Wow. So that, I just feel like that becomes kind of like cigarette, like smoking. It becomes part of your life. And as long as you don't go overboard, I think it should be okay.
Yeah, that's. I just came across an article like yesterday. It's titled like 5 reasons why millennials are the true stoner generation. And one of them was, I find it not interesting but true, is that it says cannabis use is now more socially acceptable than ever before. That's why it is like we are called, I know, the true stoner generation. It's like last time it's like I said, like, whoa, you smoke weed, but now it's like, oh, it's like a cigarette, and some people even say that it's healthier than cigarette.
Yeah, and it's also like if you're here in New York, every other corner you smoke.
Yeah,
you smoke.
You smell it.
You smell people smoking weed.
Right.
So you're just kind of forced to be introduced to the idea of weed is everywhere and everyone's doing it. So with that, you assume that, well, yeah, you just feel like it's everywhere and it's probably okay.
Yeah, like cannabis is just not as, it doesn't carry the same stigma that it once did. Like today, people are just more open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to upstate New York, Woodstock, and it says like it's the county or town that like famous for their weed. We were, my friends and I, we were buying ice cream. We were like, hey, what is it that we can do here in Woodstock? It's like, smoke weed, yo. Like, oh, okay. So we were just walking around and people would just, like old people would just gather in the park and literally just smoke weed together, like how we get in a park and play chess together. But yeah, that's
What,
their thing.
older people?
Yeah, they would like 3 or 4 of them gather around and like just smoke weed together.
Like how old?
I don't know, like, I know they have gray hairs, white hairs.
Wow.
Yeah, like a little gathering. Like in New York, Queens, I go to the park. Older people gather around together to play chess or like, to play poker. But over there, like they gather around to smoke weed. So
wow.
Yeah, welcome to America.
I cannot imagine that.
Yeah, but we want to touch on, after it was passed, the bill was passed on Wednesday, what does this mean for Canada's workplace? Carol, would you like to tell us?
Oh yeah, so today...
We have actually 2 pictures up. Yes.
So today I just got this email from, well, in case you don't know, this is the Vancouver Canucks. That's our hockey team. I used to volunteer there a lot. So as you can see very clearly, there's a news release for all the people who works for them that if you were to work, then these are the rules that you're expected to follow. So I think people are just being really cautious about the new introduced bill of like marijuana being legalized.
Right, it's updated like just yesterday, October 17th.
Yeah, so as you can see, October 17th was sent out. There's nothing really surprising. It's just saying that, just like alcohol, right? If you are going to work, you're not supposed to drink when you're working, so you're not supposed to smoke when you are, smoke meaning marijuana, you're not supposed to smoke when you're working. And if you are under the influence, then you're not supposed to go into work. And if you are, it's legal for you to carry the legal amount with you. But if you are under the legal age, then you're not supposed to carry any. So just basically really general guidelines of what you should do with marijuana. But it's not really anything new. It's just kind of like alcohol. But it's also, we can also tell that people are being really cautious, and they're also a little worried of what this new introduced bill of like marijuana being legalized can impact the workforce. But you just saw it's not really anything like surprising. It's just like alcohol, basically.
Yeah, I just find it so kind of interesting because how now, like, oh, it's no big deal. On Wednesday, Canada just legalized marijuana, weed, pot. It's the same thing nationwide. It's just like, oh, okay, we move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we move on. That's it. Like,
Well, no, the storefront, because I think in some of the East Coast cities like Toronto and some Ontario cities, you can only buy them online. But for BC, like Vancouver area, there are a lot of storefronts. So people do line up, and they like the idea of being able to just walk into a store and get their fix of weed.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy how now it's legal and means they partner up with what? Like, for example, in the US, UPS, USPS, FedEx, like, yo, FedEx is delivering weed to your doorstep.
Yeah, it's like alcohol.
What happened? Like, what are we? We are in 2018, I forgot.
Yeah.
This is crazy now that I think about it. It's not normal, no?
I mean, that's because you're not used to the idea of like being able to.
And coming from Malaysia, from a Southeast Asia country where like weed is like, whoa, you're doing drugs.
Right. But yeah, if alcohol can be delivered to your door, then why not weed now that it's legalized, right? Well, it's, like here in New York, no, you can't have that. But in Canada, yes, it's a right. If you want your weed, just go online and just buy some, and it should be delivered to your door in 2 days.
Wow.
2 days.
Damn, it's like Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
I was just reading another article saying that, oh yeah, everything's sold out. Because people are excited about the idea.
It's a celebration.
Yeah, so, but I feel after maybe a month or so, this hype is probably going to cool down and just going to become like
normal
a regular.
Again.
Yeah, it's going to be, because in Canada, you can't buy alcohol in a regular supermarket. You have to go to a specific liquor store to buy your alcohol. So as weed, they have legalized and licensed dispensary for your fix of weed. So you have to go to that specific store to buy weed. So I'm sure it's just gonna become the same idea as liquor stores. You just go and they open at regular hours. You go between 10 to 8 p.m. and get your weed and you go home and just consume it as you like.
So what does this mean for millennials? Another point, you can now get a degree in weed. According to a CNBC article back in April of this year, Northern Michigan University offers a degree in medicinal plant chemistry. So it's basically like, oh, now you can get a degree and you can actually work in a weed company. I'm sure with the legalization, more companies are gonna like open or like start up and they would need more workers and things like that. But it is said that just right out of college, you can earn $70,000 a year.
Wow.
Yup. It's time to switch jobs. No, I'm kidding. But honestly, the courses is not as easy as it sounds. It's not just learning about horticulture, but it's more like biology, chemistry, marketing, and financial management. So like it's a legit real job.
Yeah.
It's like a scientist, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't sound easy. I mean, biology.
Yeah. Who loves biology?
Yeah, well, I'm sure someone does, but no, I don't.
But okay, there's also good, of course, there's good sides to legalizing marijuana. And now that Canada has do it, like I'm sure a lot of countries are watching them and see how their economy is gonna be down years or months down the road. So I picked up 2 points, like the positive side of legalizing marijuana is that it benefits the public health by enabling the government to oversight the production, testing, labeling, distribution, and the sale of, can I just say weed? Marijuana.
Cannabis.
Yeah, it allows better control, over licensing, like ensure the quality and make sure like it's out of the teenagers' hands and, it set the age and like quantity restrictions.
30 grams only.
Oh, okay. No, she just studies a lot, okay. But the studies also found, because in the past, marijuana criminalization has had a profound impact on communities of color, and it has led to disproportionate targeting of certain populations for the arrest and prosecution. So it really had a significant negative impact on the economic, the health, and the safety, affecting the low-income communities of color. So they hope that the legalization will address this important social justice issue. So we'll see how it's gonna be a few months from now. I guess all of us are watching, right?
Yeah.
It's a celebration and now the work begins.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of kinks to work through.
Yeah, it's just the beginning. But we want to end this with an infographic from the Globe and Mail, if we can pull up the picture. It's a Canadian newspaper actually teaching you how to roll a joint. It is called, I just bought a cannabis, what do I do with it? So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So there you go. So I guess
happy smoking.
Yeah, but the Cannabis Act, it specified that only dried marijuana flower and cannabis oils are legally for sale as of today. So alternative products like edibles, vapes, concentrates, and cannabis-infused beverage is still not legal yet, but maybe it's coming soon, okay? So for us in the United States, you can't bring it back to the US, okay? You can't go to Canada and like cross the border.
You can't smoke all the ones, like you can't smoke in Canada. Like as long as you're legal.
Hey, we want to be good influence. Don't smoke, guys. But if you ever cross the border, don't put it in a backpack.
Yeah, just have your fun in Canada.
Yeah, you'll be arrested on drug smuggling charges. So it's pretty 很严重哎.
Yeah, it's very 麻烦.
So we have come to the end of our show today. For more of us, you can check out our Twitter. My Twitter is Hey Kessyl.
I'm Carol Summer C4.
So we'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye.